Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Columbia City. It's been something like 2 months now since the last Columbia City video, actually maybe more than that. Sorry about that. I've been working on a bunch of New Windsor stuff basically in that time. And I've also been trying to sort out the FPS issues I was having in Columbia City. So basically what I figured out is sharp textures was causing me problems, which was like the last thing I expected to be causing me problems. It was on really high settings though, which I didn't expect to be a problem, but I've just put it down to normal settings now and it's much better. I also don't have as many of the weird drops that are completely unexplained in weird parts of the map. Because what I figured out, it was around like natural resource textures sometimes that I'd have problems, and it's like maybe those textures are just like don't work with sharp textures. Well, I don't know. And then around certain models, the sharp textures would make my FPS completely tank. It might not even be sharp textures itself. See, I'm not even, like, it's really hard to pinpoint the exact issue. All I know is that when I decreased my sharp textures settings, I was sort of doing much better. Anyway, FPS is better. That's good. That's something I've been waiting to fix so that I'd be able to get back into the city. But for now, the FPS is pretty good, and I'm not having weird random drops like I was before. But I'll keep you updated. Anyway, so today we're going to be working on this area, which is sort of to the, like, it's next to downtown by the water. If you were in Seattle, it'd sort of be to the west of, to the northwest, I guess, of the main core of downtown. And we're just basically be building some apartment buildings here, stuff like that. Just lots of newer development mostly. And I'm starting off by placing this rail line, which you saw initially in the middle of the freeway. It goes under the city. There are actually no stops under the city, like no subway stops, but it sort of goes through this tunnel as like a connector from this end over here to the middle of the freeway on the other side of downtown. And I just wanted at least one segment of our railway to be in the middle of the freeway. So the light rail's got some freeway segments there, just because, I don't know, it looks cool. And, you see that out west a lot. I believe Seattle's got some of that. I'm not sure, though. I know that the Bay Area has some with BART, with, what's it called, like a train in the middle of the freeway. And then obviously there's like lots in LA with Metro Rail in the middle of the freeway. Like the Green Line is entirely in, or not entirely, but almost completely in the middle of the freeway. I don't even, wait, it used to be called the Green Line. They're changing over to letters. I don't even know what the Green Line is called, what its letter is. I should probably know that, although that is relatively new. Anyway, I'm just doing random work here before we get started on those newer apartments, by just detailing a lot of the back areas of these different blocks here. For some of them, I'll use trees just so that we have some greenery in the city, but a lot of them I just, like, even though they're closed in, there's really no way for trucks to get back here, put like tanks and, dumpsters and like weird stuff like that back here. And also I've been having trouble like finding props and like trying to fit, because with more beautification you're able to just go into the industrial menu and find industrial sort of looking props, but for me right here in my prop menu I can't really do that because I don't have more beautification, but more beautification lags out my landscaping menu, so I don't want to download that again. Anyway, I end up like in the next couple episodes making sort of a find it tag list of industrial props to use, so that will be cool. But for this episode, you'll see me like scrolling through my menus a lot. Yeah, so let's see. Right here, I'm placing some of the first newer apartment buildings. That first one I placed like a basketball court next to, I believe. I'm using some of these newer assets. I forget who made that taller one. And then the one I just placed on the left there is by Smiley's, who's making a bunch of like Canadian assets and Pacific Northwest sort of like, I don't know if they're specifically meant for the Pacific Northwest. Like a lot of them really look like stuff you'd see in like Vancouver, just these really tall glass high-rises that are residential buildings a lot of the time with like mixed-use stuff on the bottom. But Smiley's has been making a bunch of like Montreal row houses and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Which I'll probably be using maybe some of those row houses in a series at some point. I don't know if I could use them in Columbia City, but yeah, like Columbia City is just gonna have a lot of newer sort of apartments. A lot of them being like vanilla assets as we move out. I mean, we built a gentrified sort of neighborhood with those before, which I mean, like if you've seen that episode, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I mean, yeah, like, so we're starting to build this core area over here. I'm just trying to figure out like where to place buildings because, excuse me, I've got like a really weird road layout here, and I'm trying to figure out which buildings should go where. I end up just putting some of these like low rises on that main street up there, and connecting them to like a high rise there. Like, you could just make these buildings completely modular and they work really well. Like all of the different buildings by Smiley's, which are really cool buildings. But yeah, like a lot of them are even functionally mixed use in game. Like you'll have a section that you place on top of another section of like the bottom's commercial, the top is residential. So like we actually sort of have like functionally mixed use buildings in game, which is cool. I mean, like I don't really care about the functionality of everything or anything rather. I just place stuff for aesthetic purposes mostly, but that's still pretty cool, like being able to place mixed use development in game. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just trying to fit some of these other buildings in here. I end up turning this area into a park. You'll see in a moment. I just add some paths here, and I end up making them look like more straight than I was making them look before, just because like having these paths curve, these newer park, or not even newer at this point, Park Life came out like a year and a half ago, just these park paths from Park Life are like, they don't really curve that well. They're better used straight. So yeah, and then I'm adding like stone walls around here, which aren't necessarily that realistic because they're sort of older looking, but they're mossy and they look cool. And then I'm covering this sort of cliff area in trees, which sort of makes sense. A lot of the areas in downtown, even though they're in such a like dense developed area, are going to be pretty overgrown, which is sort of the aesthetic I'm going for here with this Pacific Northwest build. And I'm using a lot of the vanilla prop bushes that sort of conform to the terrain. Those work really well as like ground cover, so I definitely recommend using those if you haven't tried them already, if you've got Park Life. And then yeah, I'm just placing a bunch of random ground cover everywhere, which works pretty well for me. And I think along these, a bunch of the mods that I was using before, I have like removed and I haven't reinstalled them yet, but like there's certain mods like random tree rotation, which I have to grab because I don't have random tree rotation right now. And I know it's possible to play without it, and like, I don't know, Taser plays without it, but like there are a lot of trees that just don't look good when you line them up without random tree rotation. So I'm gonna try to grab that again soon. I keep forgetting, but that'll help me a lot because yeah, like not having random tree rotation, it's fine, but it could be better. Like especially when you're placing the trees. Like it usually when you're looking at the trees, it's like, okay, that's fine, whatever. But when you're placing them and they're just all in like a row, it's weird. It's like that willow there. I couldn't really place multiple willows just because it would have looked a little bit weird with the same exact orientation. And I'm making these buildings pretty modular, trying to have some mixed use stuff going on where you have this sort of commercial stuff on the bottom of the building that extends further, and then just this core residential high rise going up that's got like luxury apartments overlooking the water in it. Like this definitely won't be the last episode where you see stuff like this. I also want to build a bunch of stuff that's like under construction, because if you look at Seattle, there are a lot of areas that are just still completely under construction with a bunch of residential high rises sort of like in the downtown area that are just cranes everywhere. Like I want to capture that aesthetic in this city, and probably the area that's a little bit further north of this that we're building right now. I'll probably add, I guess if you could imagine in terms of the orientation in Seattle with the north-south, like I'll definitely be adding some stuff there. And then the next couple episodes, I guess I can sort of discuss what we're doing. Next episode, we're going to be working on oh, wait. I forget specifically. All I know is, because I'm like a couple of episodes ahead here. Like, I think I'm 3 episodes ahead, maybe. Yeah, next episode, we're going to be working on, like, a really cool protected bike lane. That's all I'll tell you. It'll be cool. Like, I've got a lot of really interesting builds planned for the next couple episodes. I know just building a protected bike lane sounds sort of boring, but you'll see it looks really satisfying in the end. It's gonna be a really good episode. I think you guys will enjoy it. Yeah, oh yeah, back here I'm using some of the mossy rocks. Yeah, like the mossy rocks from Grey Flame, and some of the non-mossy rocks as well, just sort of both of them back here. And I know it's, once again, a really urban area, but this is a sort of cliff edge. The whole idea with the city is having a sort of a woodland aesthetic. So I'm just covering it in trees and ground cover and stuff like that, and these rocks. And another thing is that I actually went onto the map and did a bunch of stuff before I recorded this episode. First of all, we're not using Roads United anymore, because Roads United isn't really supported like I want it to be anymore. And this is going to be a pretty long-term series. Like, I could see this series still going on 3 years from now, which is sort of a crazy thought, but, like, I honestly could. And I definitely don't think Roads United is going to last that long. And I want to just make sure that I'm already prepared for that. I want to use network roads from the workshop instead, that are, like, custom. And that's what we do this episode. We're using just exclusively custom network roads. You see the roads which have the American lines on them. That's actually a workshop road using the North America Plus texture, which is pretty cool. There are also a bunch of... There's a whole US road collection on the workshop. My only problem with it is it just looks too well maintained, like, and too new. Although I'll probably use it in some of the newer suburbs as we expand outwards. Like, we're going to be building some really, really boring, like, Pacific Northwest, like, suburbs that are not even specifically Pacific Northwest, like, just sort of western suburbs that are just sprawling, completely sprawling. Just sort of capture that whole vibe. I might actually use stuff in Denver as an inspiration for that, because Denver's got a lot of crazy sprawling suburbs that have, like, houses with the sort of same aesthetic I want to go for in Columbia City for those suburbs. But we'll see. That's a long time from now. I'm just sort of going one step at a time. We haven't even started on the waterfront, although we will start on that pretty soon. I know you guys have been waiting for that. But yeah, like, I did a bunch of stuff, like, so all of the highways, I'm going to go into a live play, like, in a couple minutes, and you guys will see, like, I really changed a lot. Like, all of the highways will be completely concrete. Like, I think you can see glimpses of it on the highway on the right of the screen right there. But yeah, like, all the highways are going to be concrete. No Roads United roads. It's all sort of just custom. I've removed a lot of the, like, road markings at intersections just because the concrete highways are not the same size as the previous highways. They're a little bit more condensed, so I'm gonna have to redo those, but that's, like, very low priority. I'm just gonna try to focus on expanding outwards right now and really, like, getting the feel of the city going, and then we'll come back to the smaller details. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, the city's been going on for how long now? It's like May 2019. It's March 2020. What? That's almost a year now. Almost a year of Columbia City. That's pretty crazy, actually. I feel like I just started it yesterday. But point is, we have not done that much. Like, we haven't really done much in the city. We're on episode 4 or 15 right now. And it's been about a year, and we need to start expanding outwards a lot more. So just expect some of that as we move forward, rather than just smaller detail work. Like, this episode, I just honestly built whatever first came to mind, just because I wanted to experiment with some of the rocks. I also wanted to experiment with some of the newer apartment buildings of the workshop, like the one on the left there, which I believe is newer. I think that's from Reaper, which is a really awesome building. But I also just wanted to fill some space over here and just get back into the city, and just try to build something at least. And I'm actually really happy with how this came out here. It's not going to be a focal point of the city by any means, but I'm definitely happy with how it turned out, and we're sort of starting to get a feel for how this area by the highway is going to look. This viaduct here is going to stay. I keep mentioning it, but people want me to remove it. I know they removed it in real life, but I'm keeping it here because it looks cool, even though it you know, looks really bad at the same time. Like, it definitely divides the city from the waterfront, which is terrible. But on the other hand, it was there in Seattle, and I mean, I'm keeping it here in Columbia City, and like to compensate for that, we're going to be building a pretty extensive light rail network throughout the city, so hopefully you guys are excited for that. I mean, we built some of that in this episode, and we built some of it in previous episodes, but we're going to have it fully extend basically everywhere. I haven't figured out every single line yet. I want to figure out how to make it extend over the main bay so that it can connect to the sister city we build, which I'm actually starting to think should be based on Portland rather than like Tacoma. I know people want me to base it on Tacoma, but I really want to build like a Portland styled area because Portland is really cool, and I haven't built anything like it in game. Honestly, Aramore, which was my older Pacific Northwest series from a couple years ago, wasn't really that based on anything in specific. It was just general like Pacific Northwest vibes. We had the snow-capped mountains and stuff like that, but it wasn't based geographically on anything in specific. It was also a pretty bad map I was working on that I made myself. I should have just used a workshop map for that. It just didn't look quite right. We had to completely revamp it throughout the series. I don't think we're gonna have to do that with this map. Another thing is people want me to build like a snow-capped mountain range or some sort of like stratovolcano or something. That's not gonna happen because the terrain height limit in Columbia City is it's not it doesn't lend itself to building something like that. However, I might try, but just don't expect anything. I know that it would be really cool to have some sort of really cool tall, you know, single mountain. It's like a stratovolcano here, but it's probably not going to happen. We'll see though. I know I managed to do a snow-capped like sort of smaller end of a mountain range in Aramore, and it looked pretty cool, and I might be able to do something possibly like that here, but no promises. That would be a long time from now if it happens, and for now we're just going to assume the geography is more spread out, and whatever mountain that would be is really far away, and it's theoretically covered by the clouds if it's within sight of the city, which is not an ideal story, but whatever. Anyway, we're sort of nearing the end of this time lapse here. I'm just doing some final work where I like even out the terrain, because a lot of these buildings are placed on pretty steep hills that don't really lend themselves to the types of buildings that I'm placing. It's like this event center thing right there. I was just covering up the imperfections of the sidewalk. I also changed a lot of my theme textures with the Theme Mixer 2 mod, which for patrons, I haven't really added the themes that I'm using currently to the collection. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I am going to do for like my final textures for the series, but it seems like Theme Mixer 2 works really well and it's compatible with theme decals. So I think I'm going to be using it because there are a lot of textures from, for example, like Cedar Valley that I want to use. Like I'm starting to use the Cedar Valley Ruins texture and the pavement texture. And there's still a lot of textures from Laviant that I want to use, and then some from like Stray Cats territory or whatever, like stuff like that. Like I'm just gonna mess around and figure out what I want to do. But for now, like just use the Laviant theme. Like it's basically the same as these textures, except like different pavement and asphalt textures functionally. But yeah, like in the next couple of weeks, I'll finalize that. Because I want to get a newer asphalt texture going, because this is just the vanilla one right here, and then that config file will be up for patrons. But yeah, I don't want to just keep like uploading different config files and like having you guys subscribe to like different themes if you download the save game. Which, by the way, if you want to fly around in Columbia City, just hop over on Patreon. You can, if you support me over there, you can get access to the save game. But yeah, just I don't want to just keep uploading different config files where you have to download like 5 billion different huge file size themes. But I'll figure it out in the next couple episodes, hopefully. Anyway, so this mall area here we're building, this is like a weird mall building, like an indoor mini mall of some sort, some commercial building. I'm surrounding the area in like tiles, trees, kiosks. Nothing too interesting, but at least that triangle area is finally finished, because it's just been sitting there like incomplete for a while. Anyway, that's basically it. We're gonna hop in game now. There's a lot that's changed, and I'll show it to you and tell you what's going on. All right, we're here in game. Let's take a look at what we just built. I mean, first of all, I actually changed those. Like I've revamped all of these different highways with concrete highways, and I changed those like really narrow off ramps and on ramps here to concrete on and off ramps, which I think looks better. You can let me know. But anyway, yeah, this whole viaduct here, it's concrete highways, and then going over here, all of this has been changed to concrete highways. And I mean, first of all, let's just notice how amazing the like the modeling is on these concrete highways. Like compared to the vanilla highways, I honestly really love the way these look structurally. I think they look a lot better. And the only thing is they don't have the yellow lines on the sides, but that makes it easier for me to build stuff in-game because I don't have to deal with flipping yellow lines all of the time because they're really glitchy. But, yeah, the pillars are also really nice. Just overall really nice networks. Like, I've replaced all of the different highways in-game with these concrete highways. And if you go over in downtown, a lot of the markings have been removed. Not all of them, but a lot of them have been removed. And that's just because a lot of them are, like, they don't align properly with the newer concrete highways. Like, if you look, these are the markings from before, or this is the marking from before, and it just doesn't quite align with the concrete highways. So I'll have to go in here and redo those. But overall, I think it looks a lot better. It looks more realistic for Columbia City, and the nodes aren't too off color, so it looks good. Okay, what else? I mean, I placed some more houses over here in this suburb. One thing I'm going to do is, as we expand over here, which we're going to be doing in the next episode, I believe we're going to be building right over here. I want to start actually removing some of these houses and making this more like mixed density, because this density is pretty low considering it's so close to downtown. Like, I understand a lot of the time there will be like very, very sharp zoning contrasts from one lot to another. However, I do want to transition it because Seattle's got more of a transition than this, so we'll do that. What else? I mean, oh yeah, I replaced all these rocks with mossy rocks, and it looks really cool, and I want this to be like a really, well, I don't know, I want it to be a centerpiece for the city, sort of this highway with the mossy rocks, the trees in the background. I think that's pretty cool. We're gonna build a park on the top of this hill with some nice houses and a cool neighborhood up there. What else? Yeah, I mean, we worked on, at the beginning of this episode, we started this rail line in the middle of the highway, and that rail line is going to go sort of under the freeway here and over here. It just sort of goes under this road, and then loops over through here, and it comes out next to this building, and I think that looks really cool. It'll make for some really cool shots as the light rail trains go in there. But yeah, we placed this like Japanese parking garage, which has got like Japanese markings on it, but like it looks pretty cool, so I honestly don't care that much. Yeah, this is looking really good. If you look at what we built in the core of the episode, I placed a bunch of different buildings over here by the viaduct, and I've got the landscape detailing back here, not too much, but enough so that it doesn't look too bad. And then behind these buildings, you've got the rocks, which I'm probably going to do a lot in areas like this, even if they're this urban, just because it looks really cool. Like, look at that. That's cool. That's cool right there. And a lot of these buildings aren't even necessarily that new, like over here. They've just got really nice facades, and I wanted to add them. There's this mall sort of building over here, which has got tiling around it with different types of trees. And yeah, we got like some kiosks over here. Like, basically, the city's really coming along, and it's looking a lot more complete. We still have a lot more to do, though. Like, if you look at all these empty lots in downtown, we have to still work on those. But we have, like, these are some of the main apartments right here. These three right here. that we placed in the episode. We've also got this one over here next to that rail line where it's got like this pathway going down to it from the street, and like a little park in here, which I think is pretty cool. And we got this little park out in front of this event hall building as well. Just lots of cool stuff in this episode. This needs to be detailed right here. I will detail this, don't worry. But yeah, like, I mean, I think we made some decent progress. Mostly this episode was just to get back into Columbia City, get back into the rhythm of things. And I wanted to show you guys sort of the changes I made to the infrastructure, because that's pretty big. I spent like a couple hours just revamping all the infrastructure, and it looks pretty cool now. And if you want to look at sort of what the rail line or the light rail lines look like, I mean, if you guys want to give me some feedback on what you think they should look like in the future, definitely tell me. But basically, right now we have this light rail line. This initially extended sort of out this way. But wait, here, I'm just gonna open the transit menu. There we go. This initially extended out here this way, but I don't want two different lines on this peninsula. Just one. But instead, it sort of extends like here. It's in the middle of the freeway. But I don't think it's gonna be in the middle of the freeway forever. Like, I think it's just gonna branch off into like some sort of urban center over here. And then, yeah, it'll branch off there, and then sort of go over here through what will be the harbor, and then into some development on this end of the city, I think. There will also be some commuter rail here. Just ignore the infrastructure here. I'll totally be changing the way this rail line works. But what else? We've got this other line that sort of goes through the center of the city, which we do need service in the center of the city, so I just want to make sure I have that. I think it's going to end up going sort of to some sort of population center over there. And it might connect up with this line here, which I'm not sure if this is going to stay, but I sort of want it to. Yeah, but like, I honestly don't think it's necessary. Like, obviously you need some sort of connection from this center over here to here, but I feel like a bus might do that better than this light rail line, which won't really have, like, it'll just have a terminus here, and it just doesn't make that much sense. I'd rather just extend that line that's going to go in the middle of the freeway over here across on this. Oh, wow, that's not quite right. Across this bridge, and do that instead. But this one line that goes from the center of the city right here. Autosave, why? There we go. This one line that goes from the center of the city out towards what will be the airport. I really like how the way this bridge looks. Like, it looks like it's just new infrastructure that was made in like the past 10 years or so, to connect the main city to the airport. And I really like that there. And then I think it might also go in the middle of the freeway at some point. I think that could look pretty cool, because we got this freeway going right through here. And then, I mean, yeah, like, I think this freeway is going to end up branching off and going that way, though, like through this valley, sort of replacing this road right here, because we've got this, that, like, basically it'll go through the valley, loop around this river here, and then go through the sort of the heart of the waterfront, and then cross the bridge to what I want to make it like a Portland, Oregon styled area, if we somehow manage to do that. But yeah, that'll connect to the airport. But like in downtown, I have this sort of loop around, because the end of the line, the end of this line that goes out towards what will be the airport in downtown, is this road right here, which will have like sort of parallel parking, or like it'll be interesting. You'll see. It'll have actual 90-degree parking here. Like, you'll have different wharves and stuff. We're actually going to start building that in the next couple episodes. But anyway, so like it sort of loops around here, and then it goes on this road so that it's able to turn around. Because otherwise, there's really no way for it to loop back around there. But anyway, I mean, that's basically it. Like, I just wanted to give you guys an update on what I'm thinking with the light rail lines. Basically, main change, this light rail line, probably going to go, because I don't really see much of a use for it. It's going to be pretty low density out here, and Yeah, one problem is I have to figure out, because I do want to connect a light rail line out to this bridge. I don't think I can, though. Like, I don't see how I'm going to be able to do that, because this is just a normal rail line here on the bridge, and it looks like I'm just going to have commuter rail go from the Portland area out to the main city, which is sort of annoying, because like having light rail cross over here would be pretty cool, but on the other hand, like having big commuter trains pass over would also be really cool. We'll see. But anyway, that's basically it. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Columbia City is looking pretty cool, and we're going to start expanding basically in every direction soon. Hopefully you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. It does help out a ton. It helps the video in the YouTube algorithm so people can see it, and that'd be nice of you to help people see it, because I put a lot of time into the videos. You could go and subscribe if you want to see more Columbia City, or if you're subscribed already, hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button so you get notified whenever I upload a new Columbia City video. You could, well, let's see, I mean, if you want to fly around in game like I am right now, a bunch of people have been doing that recently over on Patreon. You can get access to the save game. You guys seem to be having a lot of fun with the save game, which I'm really happy about. Or with the save games, I guess, because I upload a save game every single episode for patrons, and that's for like New Windsor, Columbia City, and Calabria Beach. So if you want to fly around in game like I am right now, like through buildings and stuff, go over on Patreon. Highly recommended. Or if you just want to get videos early, or get your name in the credits, or just support me, you can do that over on Patreon. Support is very much appreciated. You could follow me on Twitter. I post updates and stuff like that over on Twitter, so definitely recommend doing that. Then follow me on Instagram. I've been pretty active recently. I've been posting a bunch of photorealistic screenshots over there, so that's over on Instagram. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed. Hopefully you enjoyed the cinematics, and I will see you in the next episode.